Recording the show is a lot of fun. I get to hang out with my good friends. I get to tell jokes and generally let my mouth run on and call it a good day's work. But when it comes time to clean up that mess, when it comes to editing the show and doing the transcripts, I have to face the fact of all the weird things and mistakes and mispronunciations I've made. And it's kind of like rubbing my nose in all the things I've done wrong. I mispronounced this word. I misstated this. I said that Joseph Campbell said there was 27 steps in the hero's journey when in fact there was only 17. And then I just feel like a knucklehead. And I feel like, oh my gosh, everyone heard me say that. They're probably calling their mom and their grandma. And it's on the grapevine now what a knucklehead I am. And none of that's true. But I started to wonder, why is it that our brains are like this? Why do we always feel like we're under a microscope and everyone's watching our every move and waiting for us to make a mistake? And come to find out, bracketeers, there's a name for that. It's called the spotlight effect. And this episode, we're going to talk about that. Today in the stunt host chair.
In the spotlight.
In the spotlight. In the corner.
Or one of the spotlights that's shared.
You're in the spotlight. You're in the corner. You're not losing your religion, but you're over there.
Yes.
All the other REM lyrics apply.
I could at least sing a couple other words from that song.
Yes. Orange Crush. That was a different song. Never mind. And then my friend Aaron Shafer, surfer, skate park builder, international man of mystery. Scientist.
Yes, all those things. All the above.
All of the above.
Not always necessarily all at once, but at some point.
Like a Swiss Army knife.
Yes. Choose your...
Yes, I love it. Of course.
Choose your weapon.
You invited me. What were you expecting?
Yeah.
All right.
Jack of all blades.
We're launching into another episode. We're going to talk about the spotlight effect. We're going to crack ourselves up. But let me take this opportunity, bracketeers, to remind you that all our shows are available on the Bracket website, fullmentalbracket.com. We have show notes. We have links to all the stuff we're talking about. We have transcripts where all our words are there on the page, and maybe occasionally corrections where maybe I said something wrong. And it's all there. We have a lovely website. You should go. It links to all the coolness. If you want to subscribe to our show on any other platforms, you can find it from the website. Come there, visit. Make it your new home. And so, with no further ado, the spotlight effect is that constant feeling or the unconscious assumption that people are as focused on what I'm thinking about and what's going on in my life as I am.
Right. Which I'm sure we all at some point in our lives feel like someone's watching us. I'm watching you right now, but that's a whole other story.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Yes. But I have no
privacy.
Yes, thank you.
Oh man, isn't count if we don't sing? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
But I ain't got no privacy.
Yeah, that's it. See, that's it. That's where you tune in, bracketeers.
Yeah,
it's for this kind of the heart,
the spotlight
the soul.
Theme song.
Yes. So the thing about it is that we are so focused on every detail of our lives that it's hard to imagine that other people are not. We intellectually know that other people aren't. But the emotional truth of that doesn't really translate to how we see the world.
I think the word you have written down somewhere is egocentric.
It is an egocentric bias.
Yes.
That's what psychologists call it. There's a series of egocentric biases, and they all boil down to the same thing, that you see the world a certain way, and you intellectually know that other people see the world a different way, but you cannot compensate enough to compensate for how differently other people see it.
No.
And it throws off your judgments.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of work seeing from different vantage points, right?
Yeah. I mean, and just it's in the word nerdery, it's in the word. It's egocentric. Centric being everything's around me, ego means me. So you don't mean to be, you're not trying to be egotistical, but without thinking, we talked about, system 1 and system 2. Yeah. And your automatic judgments are, oh yeah, he must be looking at that blemish on my face because that's the only thing I can think about.
Right. So that egocentric bias we would also put into system 1.
Yes.
Just like we did the negativity bias.
Yes. It's just these things that automatically happens.
Knee jerk, almost.
So, you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's go a little bit into biases. This is another thing that con men would talk about, is that it ties into, I love the science of biases. It's probably a sickness. I should probably be treated
It's okay.
But I love
Deal
it.
with that later.
But he talks about the anchoring and adjustment process. So you anchor, your brain never makes anything up. It anchors on a value. If I give you a number and I ask you what price, you'll go to that number. So your anchor in egocentric biases is your anchor is your own experience.
Right.
Then you know you need to adjust from that, but then you never adjust enough. So the anchoring is system 1 process. You just jump to a conclusion, and then your system 2 process says, okay, I know that can't be right, so I'm going to compensate by 10%. But in reality, you should have compensated by 90%.
Or did you need to use that anchor at all for that situation?
Well, I don't believe that you have a choice. Your brain.
So are you saying we have multiple anchors, or you're just talking about?
I'm talking that
different experiences, I would think, would create different types of anchors growing up.
Yes, there are different types of anchors. And to be honest, in the background, I'm brewing up a whole episode about this. But the brain functions on anchors. You know, we have a light meter. We can measure, there's 27 photons in this room. We have a sound meter. We can measure the decibels, but everything in the brain is relative.
So it's like a reference point.
Yes. We always have to, we say, okay, that's brighter than this. That's louder than this. That's saltier than this. That's heavier than this. But we can't tell you what this is. It's relative to something else. So you have an anchor, and then you have a relative.
So is that like kind of like the idea of like extrapolating from that anchor?
Yes.
Okay.
And your brain does that. And that's the anchor. My anchor is my experience. Like I'm thinking, certainly everyone understands that there's a wrinkle in my shirt. No, I'm the only one that realized that there's a wrinkle in my shirt. But I know intellectually other people aren't, but I can't bring myself to compensate enough to be a realistic judgment. And like our previous biases, it makes your judgments unrealistic. It distorts your judgments, and that's the real problem here.
So is this, the spotlight effect, is it a learned behavior, or is it just something like what causes us to automatically assume that people are thinking about us more than they are?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think it's very natural, but I think maybe there's some socialized cultural value that might strengthen it or reduce it.
Okay.
But it's a natural, as far as I can tell, it's a natural thing that happens to everybody.
And you think, like, globally speaking, that most cultures have this issue, or is it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think people can't break out of their own experience. And I think that's part of what we're
I could see that.
What we're talking about today. So, for instance, one way to look at how it works is that it's very difficult for the mind to disregard what it knows. The large amount of information that we have about ourselves distorts our judgments in lots of ways, particularly when it comes to taking the perspectives of others. So, I'm trying to think about what Aaron thinks about me, but all I can think about is what I think about me. Right,
based on your own experiences.
Right. I try to take your perspective. I try to go in your head and think with your brain, but I can't. I assume that your brain and your thinking is much more closer to the mind than it really is.
Right.
Even with close friends or even spouses, you assume you know what they're thinking, then you find out. So you've been married for a while. You're like, I did not know what she was thinking. I thought I did. Surprise! That was a bad surprise.
And I really see that, I think, coming into play, having had 2 boys that are now young adults, but we often think far less, I think, than what our boys are doing when we catch them doing something, or we don't know what they're doing, but maybe we assume that they're not doing something good, and that may have been because maybe we weren't doing something good when we were kids.
Yeah. And you're not putting yourself sufficiently inside their headspace and look at it from their point
realizing
of view.
They're pretty young, just pretty not innocent, I wouldn't say, but pretty naive still.
Yes, I do have adult children, and it's tricky because they're adults and yet they're still children, and it's to try to get that blend is very difficult.
Yes,
very difficult. So let's talk about a couple examples of what the spotlight effect might look like. So I was looking for a great movie example, and I came across this movie. It's a Steve Martin movie. It's called The Lonely Guy. You're waiting for me to tell you how great this movie was. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So there's a scene that I saw on YouTube, and maybe we'll link it in the show notes. And Steve Martin,
maybe just that one scene.
Yeah, that scene was good. Yeah, and so his girlfriend breaks up with him. He's this lonely guy, I assume in New York or LA or something. And he's wandering around. In this clip, he walks in the restaurant, and the maitre d' says, it's a very fancy restaurant. The maitre d' says, "How many in your party, sir?" And he says, "I'm alone And suddenly, everyone in the restaurant stops talking, and their heads turn, and they stare at him. And literally, a spotlight comes on to him. It was like this old E.F. Hutton commercials. When E.F. Hutton talks, like, and everyone stopped talking.
Right, like that.
Yeah. And then so he walked to his table, like, here is your table. And the spotlight followed him, and everyone looked to him. And
you knew he was lonely.
Right. Yes.
Or alone, I should say.
Yes. And it was a ridiculous movie, and I couldn't finish it. We got that far because I knew that scene was in it. And we got to that scene, and we turned it off. I'm sorry, Steve Martin. It just wasn't good. And
well, he can't bat a...
Yeah, no one can be perfect. It's try-fail cycles early in his career. Yeah. Maybe it was a fail. But it was a great illustration of how we feel. We feel like there's a spotlight. You're like, everyone in this restaurant knows that my girlfriend broke up with me. They can just tell by looking at me that I'm lonely and broken and a shell of a man. But none of that was true.
So I would imagine at some point in all of our lives, we have had the spotlight effect happen to us where people have paid attention to us, or we have felt extremely embarrassed, or if someone may really have laughed at us. And
that's true.
That could really potentiate that or cause us to overcompensate.
Yes. And one of the core themes of this show is the importance of decoupling humiliation from failure. Like this experience you talked about, you did something and someone laughed at you, and so this failure is now associated with humiliation.
Right.
Now, if that happened a lot, like maybe my life, then you have a very strong attachment there, and you're less likely to try something because you don't want to fail.
Right.
Which is what we're going to get into with the problems of the spotlight effect. But you're going right to the meat of the issue right there.
Gotcha.
Is that if it does happen sometimes. Sometimes people do notice, but statistically far, 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 far less than we think it is.
I mean, because you can probably count them on one hand.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'll give you a real life example. I remember a time that I'm in high school, and I see this person, and I'm going to talk to them in class, and I seriously flash back, like, nope. In the third grade, I fell over and tripped over and did this embarrassing thing while he was watching, and he'll remember that. And so I'm not going to open myself up to that. No one remembered that but me.
No.
And I could have reached out. We could have been friends or something. But no, I was insistent that everyone in my life was taking close notes. And
I won't let that happen again.
3rd, 1974. Did you or did you not? And no one was doing that. But even as a kid, I was convinced that everyone is keeping track of all my failures and were just waiting for me to be vulnerable so they could laugh at me.
Right, which goes back to that kind of that fight or flight encoding. Like maybe because of that negativity bias, we encoded that experience as being far worse than it really was.
True. That's true. It's the interaction of the biases. I like that.
Right. So it's like, that was a near-death experience. It's like, not really. Someone just made fun of you.
Yes.
But your body's like, no, that was a crisis.
Yes. And it might...
having never experienced a real life crisis of life or death.
Side effects might include heart palpitations.
Yes.
Sudden explosions.
Yeah.
Developing a dark sense of humor.
or worse.
Might be talking about myself. It's all good. All right. So another movie example, and this is more the Truman Show. So the Truman Show is not a spotlight effect. It's actually this is what it would actually be real like if everyone in the world was actually watching you. This is what it feels like. Everyone in the world was actually watching him. And they're like, oh, don't be silly. You just think it's a spotlight effect. No one's really watching you. This is how we feel. We feel like everyone's watching us. But if you watch the Truman Show, you saw how much work it was. And there was the largest soundstage in the universe, a crew of thousands. There's just no way that people are doing that to you.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to set up a spotlight on one person.
Although I did read that this is now like some sort of psychiatric condition, the Truman effect, where people believe that the whole world is recording them.
Maybe it's replaced the spotlight.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's a version of it. We have to dig deeper into that. That's a good idea. And then one other movie is the Emperor's New Groove, which is a favorite in my family. And Emperor Cusco
I don't think I've seen that one, Brent.
We're going to fix weird. Stop the show. No.
Moment of silence.
We're going to fix it. Moment of silence for Aaron, who's been deprived.
Okay. Please enlighten me without spoiling it.
So basically, Cusco is a spoiled emperor, and the whole empire revolves around him. And then for plot reasons, all his countrymen think that he's dead, and they have a brief funeral. And then his second in command says, well, he ain't getting any deader. Back to work, everyone. And he's very depressed to realize that people really didn't give a crap about him. As soon as he was gone, they didn't. It's same boss, new boss, same as the old boss. It was the Who song. They didn't care.
Right.
And so he was also very disappointed. He thought the whole world was literally revolving around him.
Yeah, that everything
and it was
depended
not.
on him. They're like,
It was not.
life goes on. I'm sorry.
So why do you think the spotlight effect is a problem in our life?
I think, just the amount of energy we spend trying to guard the narrative in our life. And the question is, the issue is we're guarding against something that doesn't really exist.
Oh, I like that. Guarding the narrative. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
I think we all try to do that, like maybe make a story that's presentable, that will please people, that will keep us, maybe keep us out of the spotlight. There's a lot of work trying to stay out of the spotlight too.
Yeah, and
it prevents growth. There's times when you need to be courageous and you need to speak up, and I think it just prevents growth overall in a person.
Definitely, it keeps you from taking chances. It makes you maybe want to self-censor yourself.
Right.
There's an awful lot of story things that you could be taking advantage of that you tend not to if you think that everyone's watching you, and they're going to just laugh.
Yeah, and self-censoring. That's what I would call guarding the narrative. Is just
I like it. I like yours better.
I like them both. That's what guarding the narrative is. It's just you're always
self-censoring.
It's like if you're self-censoring, then you're not really back to that. Was it Brody was talking about, like at concerts? Like if you're always taking videos of a concert you're at,
right?
You're not actually
experiencing
in life,
the moment.
In the moment,
right?
Because you're too busy trying to censor yourself or make sure people
never his mind where he was at. The whole Yoda thing. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So something we like to talk about, we've talked a lot on the show, is Seligman and the 3 Ps of Seligman. When he talks about failure is personal, permanent, and pervasive. And I think the spotlight effect really leans into that. It makes people less likely to take chances because it makes failure feel personal. If I do something, everyone's watching.
Right.
If I do something, they're never going to forget. It's going to be permanent. And if I do something, even if I try something different, they're going to say, oh, weren't you that guy that failed in the 3rd grade? And like, oh no, it's pervasive. It's filled my entire life.
So we're believing that, we're assuming that that whatever we're doing falls under the auspices of being pervasive, permanent, and personal.
I think so. I think you don't think about it consciously, but I think the spotlight effect really puts pressure on those things.
Yeah.
It makes them feel more permanent, more pervasive, and more personal than it really is.
Right.
And we have to fight to make sure to remind ourselves that those aren't true, and the spotlight effect is pushed on the other side.
And I guess that would be the bias. Wouldn't it be? It would be the bias towards those 3 Ps.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then so I think, and we were talking about this earlier, when you feel failure, and then you're feeling that's going to result in embarrassment and shame, you're less reluctant to undertake the quest to become a protagonist. And it's harder to keep a healthy perspective on try-fail cycles. We know that as any good story, you're never going to get it right the first time. You got to keep trying. You get it partially right. You fail a little bit. You get maybe a little bit right. Maybe you completely fail, but you get up again. But if you think that everyone's watching you, keeping score, getting ready to laugh at you, you're very reluctant about the try-fail cycles.
Yeah, I would say you don't even get to the try.
Maybe not.
Because the try I don't know. It depends. Or depends where you feel like you're going to be most discovered or exposed, I should say. Maybe it's during that failure. I don't know. During the failure cycle.
Yeah.
Failure part of the cycle.
But I mean, you have to, failure is how you learn. So if you're reluctant to fail, then you don't grow. And so it puts your whole growth on hold. This is honestly so we're breaking up. This is not on the script. He's going off script. Look out. So we've got the growth mindset and we've got the fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset, and this is all according to Carol Dweck, the fixed mindset believes that its talent, its intelligence, its abilities are a fixed attribute, and they define the limit of who that person is. And if you go past it, you fail and you're embarrassed and you should have known better because you're only good for this circle. The growth mindset is, this is where I am today. My circle is constantly getting bigger as I grow. And failure is not something that we hide from. Failure is how the circle grows.
Right. It's the failure is the actual mechanism for growth. And for
you take the practice test and you get some questions wrong, but then you learn what you were wrong about and you go back, you do the try-fail cycles, you make it halfway to the throne room, but you had to go down a side hallway, but it made you that much closer to the goal. So the failure is the path. And if you're afraid to fail, then you're not on the path and you just don't ever grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were much more vulnerable to people's opinions with that
Absolutely.
fixed growth mindset. Is that what you call it? The fixed growth mindset?
The fixed mindset.
Fixed mindset, where people tell you what your limitations are.
And you own them. Right.
And then then people literally can box you in.
Right.
And tell you how much what your ability is.
And this
that's powerful too. We have people in our lives where they've done that. They put certain labels on you, and you're like, okay, I guess that's what I am.
I'm speaking from experience.
Me too.
If you're theoretically, I don't want to claim, I can neither confirm or deny, but should you go through grade school and find yourself in the talented and gifted program, and suddenly you think that you have this intelligence that you have to steward, and then you aren't allowed to fail because you're smarter than everybody else, and then you start failing, and then you pull back. You're like, no, I'm not going to go and take things that I might fail and might embarrass myself. I have to maintain my status as a super genius.
Right.
But no one's a super genius at 12. There's so much to learn. Like, no, I can't afford to learn because I'll fail. And you get in this whole thing where you're afraid to you don't learn anything, you don't grow anything because you're defending the narrative.
Correct. There you go.
You're defending the narrative.
Yeah, you're defending that image or whatever you think you are.
Yes.
And it goes the other way too. If you're in that other class, it's not gifted. It's like, oh, clearly my boundaries are much smaller in terms of what I can do.
Yes, that could be, or they could be not limited by the boundaries at all. If they can learn a growth mindset, if they're unhindered by that ego or whatever, and they just like lean into it. But yeah, I guess some people are like, yeah, I'm just some of the dumb people. I'll just never be. I'd run into that sometimes. I'd be, well, this is as much as I've ever done. And it's like, today?
Yeah. And they can get that from their parents or they can get that from friends. And it doesn't take much to start hardwiring that sort of lack of growth mindset.
Yes, but it's never over. It's never permanent. Your genetics and your socialization culture, they're a strong influence, but they're not the last word.
Absolutely
You
not.
can grow, you can improve, you can always be more.
Absolutely.
As something that we try to bring up on every single stinking episode, your identity is a snapshot. Your identity is where you are today. Today, I don't know how to do that yet. Doesn't mean I'm forever not going to be able to how to do that. I'm historically not good about that, but I'm getting better about that.
Right. There's always this notion that we're improving.
But the people that say,
have the capacity.
I'm just like that. I can't do that. That's just not who I am. It's like, that's not an observation. That's a decision. You've decided that's who you are. You've decided that you're not going to work on it. You've decided that you're going to guard that narrative instead of taking any chances.
So I guess that would be another episode. How do you get out of that fixed mindset?
Well, part of it is you compensate for the spotlight effect because it sure ain't helping.
True.
All right. So I came across, that is a good point. We need to make an episode about that. Our episodes just keep spawning. They're multiplying.
Yeah.
All right. So I came across a quote that really, really helped me. So this guy, David Foster Wallace, I have to admit that I haven't read his books because they're long even for me.
He sounds legit.
It's like thousands of pages long or something.
Sounds Australian.
Like yeah, I think it's in the book Infinite Jest. But he says, and I read this quote, I'm going to warn you, Racketeers, I read this quote and it changed my life and I printed it out and it's literally on my wall right now. It says, you will become way less concerned with what other people think of you. I'm going to start that again because I'm not giving this. David Foster Wallace, you deserve better than this. I'm sorry, I'm failing you, but I'm learning through it. It's some growth. You will become way less concerned with what other people think of you when you realize how seldom they do. See?
A moment of silence for that. That
people are almost never thinking about you.
No. How do you say that in a positive way?
I don't know. I like that 2x4 approach. It's
almost like no one really cares about you.
Your problem is that you think you're all that. And if you get over that, the rest of it will clear itself up. It's like, oh my gosh, everyone's paying attention to our flailing podcast. And I looked at the numbers like, oh, far, far, far from everyone.
I think we're okay here.
There really aren't that many people paying attention to our flailing right now. So yeah, I guess it's all right.
The spotlight's growing.
It's all right.
But,
and that's good. And that was good. But it was a reality check.
Yeah. I think that can be, a real transformative notion, but it depends how you look at it. It could be, you could take it negatively.
Well, you can, but I mean, honestly, so it feels harsh. It's like, Aaron's going to go home and he's going to go back to his life and he's not going to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I wonder what Brent's doing right now. It's like, he's sleeping. You should be too. Leave me alone. That kind of, it's just, that's how you move on. You have your own problems. You have your own life. You're busy in your own spotlight. The reason why you can't spotlight me is because you're busy thinking that I'm spotlighting you.
Correct.
It's like, did he notice that my glasses were dirty?
Right.
I totally did. No. Sorry. No, but so that's...
That was a cue, wasn't it?
No. People just don't have that much bandwidth to think about you.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
yet, so it sounds harsh.
Because they're so busy guarding them.
Okay, so there are some people, like your mom or your spouse or whatever, they have more bandwidth for you. But your average person is not going to notice that your socks are mismatched.
No.
Well, maybe women might. I'm certainly not going to notice that your socks are mismatched.
Or that you haven't taken a shower for 10 days.
Maybe 5, they might, but at 10, you might notice.
Probably, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that could be a good experiment.
It's always more obvious to you than it is to them. And even if they do remember, even if they do notice, they're not going to remember.
Right.
All right, I got to work and all these 12 different projects, and then, oh my gosh, there's a text on my phone. I don't remember any of that. It seems like Aaron did something silly this morning, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Anything that's rather subtle, they're not going to remember.
To me, this is...
Which is not so subtle to the person who thinks, the other people are watching them.
Well, that's the thing, is it's not subtle to you. It's this huge thing.
Exactly. But
I
it really
have a
is.
huge volcano zit on my forehead. And it's like, hold on, let me get the magnifying glass. Like, that's what you were talking about? Oh, come on. But to me, I know it might be a little sad, but to me, it was hugely liberating to realize that not everyone was studying my every move. I don't even want that.
No, it is.
I don't even want to be a celebrity. I would hate for that to happen.
In fact, you can make really good YouTube videos on the fact that the spotlight effect is not real. And that's a lot of fun. There's tons of videos out there where people do obnoxious things that really people are not paying attention to.
What if we just shone a spotlight into the camera and all I saw was the light? Right now, never mind. I'll work on that.
But
that I need.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of those videos where they just do ridiculous stuff, and it's amazing what you have to do. Like the like the dinosaurs that pop up around the corners. That
or
one
like
gets
the inattention blindness. The invisible gorilla. You have the test where you're like, watch how many times they pass the ball, and there's a guy in a gorilla suit that walks in the background, and 80% of the people never notice.
Right.
Or they have a thing where...
That was a gorilla that just walked by.
They did a different study where they had a lady with a clipboard asking this guy a question, and a piece of plywood came, and they changed the ladies with a completely different lady, and they didn't notice. Oh, yeah, and cheese is my favorite. Yeah, that's totally my favorite. And you just... I didn't even see that. That's a great connection. The reverse. We're in our own world, and we pay far less attention to things.
Yeah. And there's a whole sector on YouTube that has flourished as a result of the lack of the spotlight. Yeah.
No, I think that's a great observation. So in case you doubted us, just think about the invisible gorilla.
Yeah.
Not only do people not notice your mismatched socks, they didn't even notice a gorilla in the background of the scene.
Yeah.
So
use your imagination for how you can't get noticed.
Right. I mean, it's not that people are terrible or they're selfish. They've got a lot going on.
They do.
They don't have a lot of bandwidth to think about the tiny little, oh no, I didn't, my nail color doesn't match didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice.
I'm going to have to try that at work sometime.
See if your nail color matches?
Yeah.
Or no one notices?
I was thinking socks, to start with socks.
Okay, socks.
But maybe the nails.
You hand someone a Petri dish and they're like, did you paint your nails? Why, yes. It's burnt umber.
I'll start with clear.
Clear. Your fingers looking a little shiny today, Aaron.
Thank you.
What's going on? Thank you. It's the keratin. It really works on the cuticles.
It's all the protein I've been eating.
I love it.
Does wonders.
Oh, man. All right. So here's some ideas. How do we beat the spotlight effect? Well, as we kind of hinted at before, you have to lean into your growth mindset. When you remind yourself and you continue to adopt the idea that your ultimate goal is to improve, not necessarily to impress.
So leaning into your growth mindset, is that just meaning just going outside your comfort zone? Is that what we're talking about? What does that mean, Brent?
It's in this sense, and we could probably do some more practical takeaways from that. But in this sense, the idea of just a constant reminder, because it's like the system 1 and the system 2. You have this automatic thing. And then the system 2 is the deliberate thing. You deliberately remind yourself.
So that back to the mindfulness.
It could be similar to like a growth or a gratitude journal or some other journal or some other deliberate process where you remind yourself, I am not here to impress other people. I'm not in competition with other people. My only competition is where I was yesterday and last month.
Gotcha.
My identity is a snapshot. I'm always moving forward. And the great thing is that if you improve by accident, you'll probably impress. But if you spend all your energy trying to impress, you never get around to improving. Because that's just that fixed mindset
So
thing.
you
again.
just short-circuited the creative process.
Yeah,
because it's
short-circuited the creative process. You short-circuited the growth process.
gotcha.
You're afraid to fail, so you don't grow, and because you're busy trying to impress everybody.
Right.
Now, it's not bad to impress everybody, but you impress by not aiming for it. When you aim, it's a secondary result. If you try to make it the primary result, then you don't get the primary result that creates the secondary.
Right. Similar to like chasing the wind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Good luck.
So another way is that you can lean into your tribe. If you're feeling really self-conscious, you can talk to your friends and your allies and your mentors, and they can validate your feelings. Like, man, I felt that too. They can give you a reality check. It's like, man, I totally did not notice your mismatched socks. If you hadn't said anything, I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm looking at them and I still don't notice.
They still don't look mismatched.
So you can get a reality check.
Can you get pink and green
It's like,
next time?
I feel really skylined right now. Can you tell me if this is true or not?
Right. Just getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting multiple perspectives from your tribe.
I should probably explain that. Skyline is a military term where you walk along the horizon between the sky and the ground, and it's the most contrast, and it's the best way to get shot because you're like making yourself the perfect target. So that's part of my.
You really stand out. When
that's part of my thing with the spotlight effect. It's like I'm making myself a target. I need to, I have a lot of different associations between.
So skylining, spotlighting.
Yes, very similar.
Under the microscope.
Under the microscope, yes.
Okay, all very interchangeable.
So
self-conscious terms.
What happened when the jarhead met the lab scientist? Well, one was under the microscope and one was on the skyline, but instantly they knew what they were talking about.
Okay, can I have some water, please?
All right. So another trick is to find some psychological distance. We use our story tools here a lot. If you can take your situation and try to extrapolate that into a character in a story, it's like, all right, so it feels really personal to me, but how does Aaron deal with that? Or how does a fictional character deal with that? How does someone else deal with that? And how do they feel when they're doing it? And you can kind of get outside the maelstrom of your own emotions.
So exiting that immediate situation.
Yes.
And getting outside again.
Yeah, get some psychological distance, leave the painful emotions behind, and just try to get some perspective on it.
Yeah. That sounds like going back into the reflection mode.
And if all else fails, and something I've done before, is if you think someone's paying a lot of attention to your mistakes, you just kind of start up a conversation. Hey, so what's on your mind? And then, they're like, your socks. And but it almost always isn't.
Or
your
they
socks.
start talking about something in their life. You're like, oh,
they were
totally somewhere else.
Worried about their kids' cookie sale or bake sale, and they didn't have any bandwidth for you at all. And then you're like, so you don't have to out yourself. You don't
maybe
I was
try that frequently.
Yes.
Until it finally gets into the system.
Yes.
System one's like, yes, no one is thinking about you. They like you, but they're not thinking about you.
I like you, but not that way.
I like you, but I'm not thinking about you.
I like you, but I'm not obsessing about you.
Right. That's even better.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So we have some takeaways for this episode for you to take away. So a question for you. What is an issue that you're feeling self-conscious about? Now ask yourself, do you really think that people are paying that much attention? And just think about it. Take some time to reflect. Once again, the reaction is a system 1, and then your response is system 2. And then the last question, maybe you're holding yourself back due to a distorted view of reality. If you saw reality a little more closely and about how much attention people are paying to you and how focused that attention is, perhaps you'd stop holding yourself back and self-censoring and protecting the narrative. Because that's really what we want you to do. We want you to get out there and grow and learn and let your narrative grow and change and stop trying to protect it.
And enjoy the process, just enjoy the process of growing. And I think what the last point would be for me would be consult your tribe, like you were saying, Brent.
Absolutely.
Get some other perspectives.
And I like enjoying the process. Once I realized that I wasn't in the Truman Show and not everyone was taking notes. He's exiting on stage 3. It was very great freeing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can do all kinds of stupid stuff and hardly anyone's going to remember.
Yeah. And go watch some YouTube videos of people making fools of themselves while no one else is noticing.
Or
And then you realize it's
If you're
really true.
Aaron, watch The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, bracketeers, we thank you for your time and your attention. We will remind you that you can contact us at contact@fullmentalbracket.com. We are on Instagram. We're on the Facebooks. We're on Threads. We're on TikTok. If it's still around by the time you see this episode, we're everywhere. Come on contact with us and chat with us and let us know what you're thinking. Thank you and goodbye.
And good night.
That's the way it goes.
Good night.
Thanks for watching. If you're looking for more ways to build a meaningful and satisfying life, your next video is standing by.